Hey folks, welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys an update about where I think we are, prophetically speaking, the wealth transfer, right? At least parts of the wealth transfer. And I'm going to discuss several other topics and issues. But before we get into that, folks, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information and giving you my thoughts and my opinion on that information. And if you guys like these videos that I make, the support links are down below in the description and also the About section of YouTube, the Patreon, PayPal, and so on. So what I want to talk about is about where do I think that we are at, prophetically speaking. And right now, we're just kind of still in our waiting period and doing what we're already doing, right? And that's to continue to invest in certain cryptocurrencies. Like I tell you, like especially if you're just starting off or you can't afford a lot, at least the two things that you should be doing is at least getting Shiba Inu and at least put some money towards the Bitcoin buy limit orders. And then you can work your way to some of the other cryptocurrencies where you feel like you have enough Shiba Inu and maybe you want to start investing in XRP, XLM, and maybe a few others. What I am expecting to happen, in my opinion, I believe that we're going to see another major market dip. And I hope it's related to a Bitcoin flash crash to where we actually get to partake in the Bitcoin phishing that's been prophesied by Christopher Harris and Dr. Maria Conwell. I actually prayed about this, and it's like, whether you've been in it for a long time and you've been watching and you've been trying to invest as much as you can, or, you got people living paycheck to paycheck, people coming in just brand new, and it doesn't really matter. Even people across all financial spectrums are hurting it some way and somehow, right? It doesn't matter if you're poor, middle class, or rich. Everybody's taking a hit. Now, of course, the more money you have, it's easier to navigate and do things. But one of the things that I was praying about, I was like, we have this food shortage and, prices are continuing to go up. And yes, we can make money from the wealth transfer, and not everybody has the same amount of money invested in. One of the things that I'm praying for is that, before this really kicks off, that we do experience a Bitcoin flash crash. And if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. Maybe we'll just get a market dip. Maybe Bitcoin will just drop down to, 30 or 20,000 before we experience and then go back up. Maybe that all happened before we experience any kind of Bitcoin phishing. I don't know. And regardless if it happens or not, we still continue with our plan. And I said, at least hold back some money for a major dip. And if the major dip doesn't happen, then you just have extra money that you can invest in on the next major dip. So my prayer is that, that we all benefit from some type of Bitcoin phishing so that we can invest in some of these things and that we can be a storehouse for other people when that time comes, right? Because, prices are going up. There's a lot of other things that are going on within our economy, and that, we really need to be in a good position. From what I hear, people are struggling, to get by and being able to invest. And hopefully that people who are in that position, that you have done everything that you can do, to be able to put in as much as possible. And like I've been saying for a long time, even if you're just putting in $10 or $20 a week and you're buying Shiba Inu or something else, and you're just storing that, waiting for that time for when things begin to take off. So these things are just my opinion. I'm not always going to get it right, folks. And I don't claim to be like a prophet. And there have been times I said, I felt like God said, and I'm not always going to get it right. And I may not get every interpretation right either as well, because sometimes, maybe I just have one piece to the part of interpretation. It's just like the Dr. Maria Conwell waves. I thought maybe that it would come in February, but then God shared with me, what happens before a wave comes in. There's a major pullback, and we have been seeing that pullback. I came on this channel and I shared that with you guys, that with every wave, there's going to be a pullback. So, but April is supposed to be the month of the beginning of the wealth transfer, and that's what I'm seeing in the prophetic. And there's a lot of different prophecies concerning April, and there's prophecies concerning May. So in order to see the prices that people have been seeing in May, in April, that means we have to have some massive movements, right? And we have, with all the different people that I've been sharing, April's supposed to be a really good month. And right now we're about halfway through. right? And I think this week we're just trying to get through the CPI numbers. Who knows what's going to happen start next week. Now, the whole thing with the CPI numbers, which is pretty funny because it was only 8.5%, but the things that kept it from going to 10% was like, right, or the price of used cars has gone down. So that affected the inflation numbers. It brought some of the inflation numbers down. I was like, well, people don't buy used cars every single day. You know, if you just look at the numbers of the things that people use every day, like energy, food, right, commodities, you know, those are the things that people have to buy every single day, all the time. And those are up big time. So what we do, we just wait and see what happens. We can only take this day by day and step by step. We actually have so many prophetic words. People are getting confused. Even if you have it down on paper, right? Or like, you know, I'll put it in Google Documents or people put it into a picture form. There's still a lot of confusion because there's so many prophecies about so many different things. And I think a lot of these prophecies can be for people who have already been holding cryptocurrencies for a long time. Now, I've seen a prophetic word for a cryptocurrency that's currently at $1, and somebody had a prophetic dream that they saw it at $5, and that's the highest that they've seen it. That's a pretty good increase, but from some of the other prophetic words we've got, there's going to be other investments that you'll be able to get into that's going to bring a greater return. So don't feel like you guys have to invest in every single cryptocurrency prophecy or every stock prophecy, whatever the case. Not everybody can afford to do that. And that's why I'm hoping that we do get a Bitcoin flash crash and take advantage of the Bitcoin phishing, right? Because that's going to change everything as far as our investing. So it's important, especially if you're brand new. You don't have to chase every single coin. Right? If you are brand new, you know what I tell people that are just getting into cryptocurrency? The first cryptocurrency you should get into is Shiba Inu. Just start there before you start focusing on all these other prophetic coins. Because, you know, for somebody who's new and they see all these prophecies about all these different coins and they don't know where to start, they don't know where to begin. One of the most important things is start off with Shiba Inu. Regardless if it takes off later than some of the other coins, oh well, your time will come when it will reach $1 and then $13, right? So don't feel like you have to go chase every single coin. Put yourself in a position with Shiba Inu, have a goal, reach that goal, move on to the next cryptocurrency that you would like to get or what God is sharing with you, what you should invest in, right? And then the other thing I tell people who are just coming in to the wealth transfer, or even if you're only able to put $20 or $30 a week, and is go ahead and set up some Bitcoin buy limit orders for your Bitcoin fishing, right? Because that would put you ahead since you're just starting off, or if you don't have very much to invest. And that's why I say I keep praying that God does allow, you know, something to happen so that we can invest into all these other cryptos, because that's part of the plan, right? Not just to get rich and wealthy, but to turn around and take a lot of our profits and put it back into other cryptocurrencies, right? Because there is a master plan about that. Right? And one of the things that came to me was, you know, why would God show us McDonald's at 61 cents? Right? You look at Elon Musk, right? He bought a whole bunch of shares of Twitter, right? Now he's offering to buy out the whole company. And so he's going to have a lot of power and influence even at just owning 10% of the company. And so when it comes to some of these companies that what God is showing us, sometimes it's about influence and the future of the wealth transfer. Now, imagine that you obtaining a lot of wealth, right? And McDonald's hasn't hit that 61 prophetic mark yet. Maybe you do want to sit on the board of McDonald's because down the road in the future, you want to make sure that they do things right. So then that you would become a major shareholder, maybe even sitting on the board. You get what I'm saying as far as the future in God's kingdom? So imagine if many of you, not all of you, because God may not be sharing this with you. But if you become very wealthy and then you're able to buy a whole bunch of McDonald's stocks at 61 cents, that's going to end up putting you on the board. Imagine 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 of you, right, getting into that position. That could change a lot of things, especially for the future of God's kingdom, right? That power and influence. So April is the month of the beginning of real wealth transfer, right? I'm not saying the wealth transfer is beginning and then 3 months later, we're still sitting here waiting for the wealth transfer to happen. I believe that we are going to experience some things this month that's going to start to bring about the wealth transfer. Now, the next thing that I do want to get into, what I see and what I experience in the emails that I get and people talking back and forth, there's too much confusion. And it's almost like we have too many prophecies going out. And that's one of the reasons why, you might see a prophetic word in another group or somewhere else, and I haven't put it up because sometimes I don't feel that it's necessary. We don't have to keep posting that somebody saw Shiba Inu go to $1 unless they see a different circumstance, right? So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to be a little bit more cautious about, what prophecies I talk about. And that's just in general. And also doing this for the newer people, right? You don't need to know about all the other pricing points of Shiba Inu, right? If somebody says, I saw it at 25 cents and then it went down to 20 cents. And we got tons of those already. We don't need to keep on and on and on because it is, from my perspective, it's causing a lot of confusion. And most people aren't even swing traders. And you have to realize that trading at all these different points, you're going to have to be sitting there either on your phone or on your computer when this begins to happen. So if you're at work and you have buy limit orders in or sell limit orders in, and you're not there to follow up, say for instance, this is an example. So one of the prophetic words is that Shiba, when it hits 10 cents, whether it's on its way up or whether it's on its way down, when it hits 10 cents, it's going to crash. Several hours later, it's going to jump back up to 20 cents. Right? So if you're not in position and you have your Shiba sell limit orders in at 10 cents, but you're not there to buy back in and then pick up a whole bunch more Shiba Inu before it jumps back up to 20 cents. So part of this, if you're not training yourself and you're not learning, some of you guys are going to be missing some of this. Okay? We're all still going to be celebrating at every single point, but the overall plan and the overall master plan, you're going to have to be really paying attention, especially when Shiba Inu is starting to go up to that 1 cent range. And hopefully by then, most of you won't even have to go to work by then. So one of the other things I want to talk about, what's going to change on this channel. And, there's all this big debate about beliefs and stuff like that. But one of the things that I want to point out is prophetic accuracy. Right now, concerning the wealth transfer and everything that I'm seeing, that is very important on whether or not people are getting it right. Now, you got to keep in mind, folks, just because somebody comes out with a prophetic word doesn't necessarily mean that it's an original prophecy. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of confirmation words, right? We saw the different people giving different words about the food shortages or this investment or that investment, right? And they're just already confirming what somebody else has already said. So that does not make them a perfect prophet, that they get everything 100% accurate because it was out there already, right? So, and what I have been doing is I have been fact-checking prophecies. So if I hear a prophetic word, the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to Google to see if I can find it in the news. And then guess what? I'm going into the prophetic world online. And I'm looking to see if that prophecy has already came out. And so I'm trying to determine whether or not if it's an original prophetic word or a confirming word. In a lot of cases, I don't need to show a third or fourth or fifth or sixth confirmation. It's like this. We know Bitcoin is going to crash. We know it's going to fall. We've heard it over and over and over again by the prophets. So anybody that says anything, if any prophet talks about it now and they don't give anything different than what we've already heard, there's no point of even showing it because that's what we've been discussing, right? We've been discussing the flash crashes and Bitcoin crashing. And if I'm going to show something, it's going to be because it's going to be different from what we've already heard. Some changes are going to be good because that means I can spend less time focusing on prophecies that we already know that are getting ready to come to pass. If they bring something different, then that's something that I will show or add to the Google documents. But there's just way too much confusion. I mean, there are some people, they're prophesying a crash and they're prophesying a takeoff, and then they're prophesying a crash and they're prophesying a takeoff, and it's getting confusing for people. Some people don't know what to do. And what I'm really hoping to do is do a lot more updates, but a lot shorter. And if I could cut down on some of the time and research and putting videos together on just confirmations, then that's going to be good for, for what I try to do. And it'll be easier for you, and it'll be easier for me, and there'll be less confusion. Because all I try to do here, folks, is show what God is showing everybody, right? I don't look at every single belief of every single prophecy. And it's actually hypocritical to criticize one when you're not criticizing the other for what they believe, or you're not criticizing for some people who are blatantly incorrect more often than not. All right, folks, that is all that I have for today. And just to say that, we just got to take each day one at a time. Don't let fear of missing out get to you. And we just take it prophetic word by prophetic word as each day comes. Thank you for listening. God bless. TC out.